Parker Schnabel's road to getting rich is a really cool story that started with his grandpa John Schnabel looking for gold in the Klondike way back in the early 1900s. Even though things got really hard sometimes, John never gave up, and it paid off big time, making him a millionaire gold miner. Parker looked up to his grandpa so much that he started mining when he was only 5 years old. By the time he was 16, he was already running his own mine, and people were calling him a mining genius. But just how much money has Parker made? The answer might really surprise you. So the Schnabel story and the Klondike all started way back in the early 1900s. A young John Schnabel packed his bags and headed north chasing that gold dream. And one thing's for sure, it wasn't easy. Those early years were really tough, with lots of hard times and tons of things going wrong. But John was just built different. He kept going, learned everything the hard way, and eventually found success. All those years of mining made him really good at it, turning him into one of the most experienced miners in the whole Klondike. By the time he got older, John Schnabel was sitting on a pile of gold worth millions of dollars, all because he worked hard and never quit. But the Schnabel story wasn't done yet. Enter Parker, John's grandson. From the time he was a little kid, Parker looked up to his grandpa and soaked up everything he knew about gold mining like a sponge. Even as a little kid, you could tell Parker was naturally good at this mining stuff, and let's just say he really wanted to keep the family business going strong. This love for gold started young, way younger than you'd probably think. Parker Schnabel's story in the gold game goes all the way back to when he was just 5 years old. His grandpa John, who was basically a mining legend, let little Parker come along with a cruise to the mines near Haines, Alaska. Now most kids that age are all about cartoons and Legos, but Parker, he was totally hooked. The sounds of the big machines, the dirt flying everywhere, and the coolest part, actually seeing real gold come out of the ground. Forget video games, it was like a real-life treasure hunt for him. As Parker got older, his love for gold mining just kept getting bigger. By the time he was 10, he was already driving little excavators and sorting through dirt looking for gold, all while his grandpa kept a close eye on him. Turns out Parker had like a sixth sense for finding gold, even better than some miners who had been doing it for years. When Parker turned 16, John decided to give him a really big challenge. He let Parker use part of his own mining claim, which meant Parker was in charge of everything, the bills, the money they made, all of it. People were like, whoa, a 16-year-old running a whole mine? That's crazy! But Parker wasn't scared one bit. He put together a crew of local miners, worked super hard, and used his gold-finding magic to pull out some serious gold. News about this teenage mining genius spread really fast, and soon Parker Schnabel was being called a prodigy, someone who was going to be just as legendary as his grandpa. By 2012, Parker was already a total boss in the Yukon gold digging world. This guy was pulling in serious cash and leaving experienced miners in the dust with his smarts and cool new mining tricks. This young genius caught the eye of some reality TV people who really wanted to make a show about, you guessed it, gold mining. They offered Parker a wild idea: let a camera crew follow him around for a brand new show on the Discovery Channel called Gold Rush. Parker, always thinking like a businessman and maybe a little bit of a showman, saw this as a golden opportunity, pun totally intended, to grow bigger and share his family's story with the whole world. After a quick talk with Grandpa John, Parker said yes, and Gold Rush was born. From the very first episode, Parker became a superstar. Viewers couldn't get enough of his youthful energy, his brain packed with gold knowledge, and the way he hustled like nobody's business. Gold Rush blew up huge, and Parker Schnabel became a name everyone knew, one of the hottest young stars in the gold mining world. But getting famous didn't slow him down even a little bit. He went even harder on his Porcupine Creek operation, bringing in bigger and better machines and a whole new crew. Parker got really creative, used his brain to come up with awesome mining plans, and kept breaking his own gold record season after season. We're talking pulling in over 3,000 ounces of gold in just one season when he was in his early 20s. That's millions of dollars, people. Parker took his TV fame and his mining smarts and turned it all into a huge business empire. He set new records for making money and getting the most gold out of the ground. Thanks to Gold Rush and his own undeniable talent, Parker went from a promising rookie to a total powerhouse, changing the whole gold mining game. But 2016 was a really hard year for the Schnabel family. They lost Grandpa John, a true legend in the gold fields. He was 96 years old and had lived a life most people can only dream about. But for Parker, it wasn't just losing a hero, it was losing his biggest cheerleader. Grandpa John had been there since Parker was a little kid, teaching him everything he knew, like how to read the land, how to manage a crew, and how to find that really hard-to-catch gold. He built Parker up and made him strong enough to handle this crazy mining life. Now with Grandpa gone, Parker was standing on his own for the first time. It was really emotional, but you know Parker, that fire inside him wouldn't let him quit. He wasn't going to let Grandpa John down and promised to carry on the family legacy and make him proud. After saying goodbye to his grandpa, Parker took over Schnabel Mining. He set some really big goals, bigger digs and more gold than ever before. He even grabbed a bunch of new mining spots across the Yukon, including the legendary Eureka Creek, which people said was the richest untouched ground around. Suddenly Parker wasn't just running one mine, he was a mining mogul with multiple claims spread all across the Yukon. It was a whole new ball game. He had to grow up fast, learn to plan really well, and figure out how to keep all these moving parts running smoothly. Crews were working around the clock, rental costs were piling up, and payroll was going through the roof. The pressure was really on. Parker had to get super creative, squeezing every single ounce of gold out of these claims. He studied everything, found ways to work smarter instead of just harder. But it wasn't all easy and fun. There were mistakes, bad hires, wrong equipment, stuff that almost messed up the whole operation. Competitors were watching and waiting for Parker to slip up. But Parker, that same kid who grew up chasing gold with Grandpa John, he's got serious determination. He learned from his mistakes, built a stronger team, and pushed himself harder than ever. Through all the tough times, Grandpa John's spirit was right there with him. And thanks to Parker's determination, the Schnabel legacy kept shining brighter than ever. Look, Parker gets it. The Yukon is a wild and beautiful place, and it needs to stay that way. Even as his mining operation got really big, Parker knew he had to be responsible about it. He knew he had to mine smart. He wanted to keep this place beautiful for future generations. So Parker became a really strong supporter of eco-friendly mining. He spent big money on fancy equipment to keep nasty chemicals from leaking out and special filters to stop dirty water from messing up the rivers. Once they were done mining a spot, Parker's team would smooth everything out, clean up all the junk, and plant local plants to bring everything back to life. And it actually worked. Animals started coming back to these fixed-up areas, totally loving their restored home. And because Parker is just a good person, he used his fame to push for smarter mining rules in the Yukon. He worked with the top leaders to create laws that protect the environment while still letting people mine the right way. He even became a mentor, teaching younger miners how to make money without wrecking the place. Parker basically became a one-man mission to prove that you can be a successful miner and still take care of nature at the same time. His brain came up with new ways to get the most gold while doing the least lasting damage to the land he loved. Thanks to Parker's vision, the Yukon's wild beauty and its busy mining industry can both stick around for years to come. By his mid-20s, Parker Schnabel was already a gold-dripping millionaire. Believe it or not, a big chunk of that comes from being the star of Gold Rush, that show where cameras follow him around the Yukon as he hunts for gold. Apparently, he was pulling in a cool $100,000 per episode. That's like $2 million a season. But hold on, that's just the first nugget in Parker's treasure chest. You see, Parker's family basically owns half the Yukon when it comes to mining claims. It's like their own personal gold mine monopoly, and with Parker leading the way, they were absolutely crushing it. One season they pulled in a whopping 3,500 ounces of gold. That's almost $5 million at today's prices. Just imagine, enough gold to fill up a bathtub. Year after year, Parker's mines were spitting out tons of gold, adding millions more to his already huge bank account. But wait, there's more. Being the star of Gold Rush turned Parker into a worldwide influencer. Big companies were throwing endorsement deals at him like crazy, mining equipment companies, clothing brands, you name it. Suddenly Parker wasn't just the king of the Yukon goldfields, he was a social media rock star. Parker used that fame to invest in all kinds of stuff, top-of-the-line trucks for getting around the mines, rental equipment to grow his operation, and even real estate. Add all of that up, TV money, mining profits, sponsorships, smart investments, and you're looking at a net worth of around $10 million and still climbing. Not bad for a guy who started out playing in the dirt with his grandpa, right? But unlike some flashy millionaires you see all over the internet, Parker keeps things pretty chill. He lives right on site at his mining camps in simple housing, staying close to the action. Most of his money goes right back into the business to make his operation even more impressive. But hey, even millionaires get to treat themselves sometimes. Back home in Alaska, Parker's got a really sweet place, a 45-acre estate with a log cabin that looks like it's straight out of a magazine. Picture an estate with stunning mountain views, all decorated in rustic charm with comfy furniture, the perfect spot to kick back and relax after a long mining season. Plus, forget a boring garage. Parker's got a whole toy store in there. We're talking top-of-the-line trucks, ATVs, everything he needs to explore those mines in style. But Parker's not just a one-estate kind of guy. He's got a whole real estate portfolio going on. There's a commercial building in Haines, Alaska that brings in extra money, and a vacation rental property up in the Yukon Territory. Seems like Parker's building his own little empire. And speaking of empires, let's talk about his car collection. It's enough to make any car lover super jealous. We've got a Ford Raptor, the ultimate off-road beast, perfect for tearing through the Yukon land. Then there's the Mercedes G-Wagon, pure luxury for those smoother rides. Feeling classic? Parker's got a Jeep Wrangler, a true miner's ride. And for some custom awesomeness, check out his totally tricked-out Chevy Silverado. This guy absolutely loves his vehicles. They're a perfect mix of adventure-ready and super high quality, plus they can probably handle a whole lot of mud without complaining. On top of all that, there's a whole fleet of trucks and heavy equipment keeping his mining operation running like a well-oiled machine. Now when Parker actually gets some time off, he likes to take his fancy fishing boat out or fly off on some epic trips around the world. The possibilities are endless. But here's the coolest part, Parker isn't all about himself. He takes care of the people who helped him get here. His loyal crew gets treated to luxury vacations sometimes, and he throws them huge bonuses for their hard work. And one thing's for sure, Parker's generosity goes way beyond just his crew. He hasn't forgotten where he came from, Alaska. He's all about giving back to the local communities that helped him get to where he is today, in a really big way. Every season, a large chunk of his gold profits goes to local charities, animal shelters, youth sports, you name it. He even helps veterans groups. Alaska winters are brutal, long, dark, and sometimes the power goes out. That can be really rough for people who can't afford fancy generators. So when he's not mining, Parker rolls up his sleeves and volunteers his time to help build affordable housing and deliver supplies to families and seniors who need a little extra help. However, Parker's not just keeping people warm and fed. He's also investing in Alaska's future. Get this, Parker even set up a scholarship fund at his old high school. He wants to help other young people get a head start in careers like mechanics or engineering, skills that are super valuable in Alaska. Basically, he's helping others and inspiring the next generation to chase their dreams, just like he did.